Hello everyone, I'm Aaron, the manager of Cleethorpes Dragons. As you can see, we're currently sat on about 98 strength, but most of my players are 23-year-olds, so hopefully that should increase up to about 105 eventually. Currently in GBR Division 2, although we're hoping to go up again this season. This video is just basically going to be a squad overview of my main youth players, not my trash players that are just buy to sell. Eventually I am going to probably do videos on training and money and how to get a squad to this point, but just squad overview today. So we'll start with the keeper. He's not really a long-term player, just bought him, whacked him on a long-term contract, and he'll get sacked at the end of that. I've currently got a youth keeper that's been free slotted in the youth academy, and he's due to come up next season. Might have to extend that guy's contract by a season, just so that the other guy's a bit more up to speed when he does come up. But yeah, he won't be with us any time after that. Next we've got Leashy, if he ever loads. As you can probably guess from his talent and his personality and his dual-footedness, eventually he's going to be a winger. Managed to keep his stats nice and even, which is quite important when you're focus training like we do, because if anything hits 100 then it's just basically wasted training, and you're not going to maximise your potential if you have players doing stuff like that. Next is one of my two 25-year-olds who are a couple of years older than the rest of the squad. Basically, as you can see, he's eventually going to be a defender, and he's pretty much in the status of what I call finish now, in that I chuck him into his final position and he can just sit there and train. There's no more messing about switching positions every 6 weeks or whatever. So basically he'll sit on tackling training now for the rest of his career. As he goes on his tackling training, his playmaking, his passing will slowly increase, and he should end up nicely as a 9.8 eventually. Next we've got Siro, who was my first youth player ever back in May 2013 and cost me just under 8 million. Just shows you how long of a time frame you need to be looking at in this game when you're buying players 18 months ago in real life time and they're only just starting to come through in development now. He's just had his 24th birthday today, so that's a 24th birthday stats there. Like I said, it probably be a defender. I can probably sit him on tackling training. You could probably spend about 6 weeks on scoring training to get that up to maybe 90 and drag those up a little bit, and then just spend the rest of the season on tackling training and dragging those up, and that will probably get him to a 9.6, or it will get him to 9.6, possibly 9.8 as well. So next time I'm doing scoring training, at the moment I'm doing passing and tackling, so he's going to have to wait a little bit to be completely finished off. Next I've got the first of my midfielders. All my midfielders got quite high playmaking. It's just another one of the problems, and when you're focus training one position and you've got players from multiple positions, but you're trying to focus one stat, but you're trying to keep the stats even because you don't want anything to get 100, and unfortunately it has to give occasionally. So probably midfielder, although I am tempted to convert him to striker just because of the talent, but I will wait till his passing gets up to 90 and decide then, because there's no rush to decide at the moment. It's going to be another season and a half before that hits 100, so plenty of time to worry about that. Right, next is Mixed Flexible. When I bought my original youths, I did try to go towards the inflexible aggressives and the confidence, etc. But a couple got through the net, and I decided to keep hold of this one because flexible is supposed to be getting changed in June next. So I don't know, we'll see. This guy is only ever going to be a sub anyway. He's my 11th outfield player, so he'll only ever play when someone's injured or suspended. His stats distribution's crap as well because he's been low priority. 2 stats in the 70s and 2 stats based in the 90s. That's just terrible. But eventually he will get sorted. But he is low priority as he is only a sub. Right. Next is my best prospect, who will eventually be my best player. His stats for a 22-year-old are absolutely amazing. He's still getting experience, so his strength's a little bit on the low side, but hopefully by the end of this season he's going to be whacking up to around the 9.0s, and then hopefully in Division 1 next season he shouldn't have too much problems playing. We'll see how it goes, I guess. We're just going to make a killer left winger eventually. Next we've got my who will probably be my main striker eventually. Nearly 24 years old, couple more days. Plans basically, he's on passing training at the moment, get that up to about 88, 89. Then whack him on as a defender for maybe a season, 14, 15 weeks, get that up to 90, pull these secondary stats up a bit more, and then by the time he switches to scoring eventually, by the time that scoring gets to 100, hopefully these 2 middle secondary stats will be like 93, 94 region, and that'll make him a 9.8. During that whole time from being on tackling training, and that whole season on tackling training, then the rest of his career on scoring training, he'll only need to get about half a dozen stat points in playmaking and passing as secondary training to make it as 9.8, so hopefully it's pretty promising for him. And he's got a nice goal ratio as well. Right, next we got my first of my homegrown players. Midfield again, as with all my midfielders, playmaking really high, passing really low. When he was in my youth academy, I never thought he was going to be good enough to make the squad, so I never actually bothered giving him a nickname, and he turned out a lot better than I thought he was going to, so I held on to him. The plan with him is basically just to sit on his passing training until he's got about passing 90. That's going to pull up these secondary stats, and maybe need a little bit of tackling training, but by the time that gets to 90 he should near enough be a finished player. Next is Audley, my second homegrown player. Future right winger, managed to keep his stats nice and even at least. The only thing about him is his personality. It's no direct performance enhancing, no match rating bonus for that. The only reason I really kept hold of him was because of his talent, which can be a pain to get hold of, and also because he was homegrown, and because at the time I was buying my youths, buying anyone with corner kick talent, there just wasn't anybody available. I was waiting for months and nothing came up. He came up on my youth team, so I decided to keep him. That's why he's a bit younger than the others, because I was holding out for so long. Fair personality on a winger isn't as terrible as it is with other players. He's only had 1 red card in 191 games, and most of my other wingers have had 2 or 3 in a similar amount of time, so not terrible. We all know how gullible wingers are for getting red cards, so yeah. Next we've got my third homegrown player, another midfielder. Once again the same with Waterman, just going to sit on passing training till it gets to 90, and then he's pretty much going to be a finished player as that pulls those up, and that's pretty much it with him. And lastly, my my future Michael Owen wannabe. My highest strength player hopefully should be hitting 9.6 soon. He's completely finished, so he's just going to spend the rest of his career sat in striker position. Basically, to get that 9.6, he just needs to get those 2 experience points, which he'll have next week, and 1 more point in scoring. And it's been a month since he got up to 97, so hopefully it's not going to be too much longer. Hopefully next week, the week after, he'll hit 9.6, and I think that'll be the first 9.6 in GBR. I'm not sure, but either way, I'm just happy for him to be my first 9.6. So that was Cleethorpes Dragons' squad. It's going to take the majority of my squad about a season and a half to get to that position where I just need to move them into their final position and just leave them there to train for the rest of their careers. The 25-year-olds are already there, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Could interfere with my season if I go up to Division 1 next year, but you know, we'll deal with that when it comes to it. Thank you and see you later.